Hey, it's Rick here, 20 millimeter RPG. So, I know I'm probably going to get a little bit of flack for this, possibly, but hmm, is this guy elite? Now, I come, I used to do this. I used to do exactly what he is doing here, setting up scene after scene after scene after scene, saying that it is not a railroad. However, there is a reliance on these scenes here. If you go through his video, you'll see that he has a little write up, a scene after a scene after a scene, and he's got his notes and everything. Like I say, I used to do this too, but the problem is, um, if you have players, and this is where you're gonna have to start um, weeding out your characters in order for them to suit a certain style of gameplay. And to me, well, quick and dirty, this whole hour was boring. And I see a lot of comments in there just basically blowing smoke up his ass. And that's fine. Um if you find it exciting to watch an hour of, what is it, four players going through a situation where they have to keep on rolling intelligence checks over and over and over again. And one of his problems here is sometimes the players will fail the intelligence check. And then he has to kind of prompt the rest of the players saying, are you also going to help? Because he wants this to happen. He needs this to happen. He needs the success to happen. So what was the point of rolling the dice in the first place? So if you have players that are going through this and you're basically having them as, okay, these players are basically actors that are portraying characters, technically acting their roles and being die rollers and following scene after scene after scene. Sure, they may switch up what they're doing in the scene, but in the end, he does want a certain successes to occur in order for the clues to be brought out. I'm a little different. If there are clues to be found and the players are saying, I am looking over these bodies, why would I want to go ahead and roll intelligence checks for the chance of them to fail? If they are looking over the bodies, I will give them all the clues that they see, the tattoos, all that stuff. And I don't have to go through, sorry, I have a bit of a cold, but I don't have to go through, 10, 15 minutes of basically bullshit, which could be resolved in a few minutes. And that's what could have been done here. But he he wants to have these rules and mechanics override the role play. And to me, that's a mistake. To me, and this may not suit everybody's way of playing. Um, I would rather go fast and interesting and have some combat in there, have some mystery being uncovered successfully. But unfortunately, we don't see this here. I mean, it becomes somewhat successful, but after prompting the players in order to succeed after a failed roll, uh, that just doesn't jive with me. Of course, he won't see the logic behind this because he's already set in his ways. I've I've had a little back and forth with him on email, and he's just the way it is. We simply, well, as he explains it, he simply won't have me at the table because of my views, and I would rather not be at the table because why would I want to be on a Disneyland ride and just be his die roller? Because that's basically what this has turned into. Poro is a really good role player. This guy playing Poro, he's pretty good. He's kept in character most of this. So if he was playing in my game, I would certainly want a guy like Poro in in my session. Um, probably he probably wouldn't work very well in Shauner because Shauner's not a big fan about using voices and stuff like that. I don't mind it. That's the difference between me and Sean. And I do have a willing to have the players learn, as you can tell in my sessions. They're learning and learning, and we are developing together and creating this theater of the mind gameplay, which I find for me it runs faster. It's probably a lot more entertaining for you guys to watch than one of my older sessions where I am doing exactly what uh, this guy here is doing and using a virtual tabletop with all the bells and whistles, having to take the time to hook things up or mitigate any kind of technical issues that may come up in the interface. And to me, that's you're just wasting time. I'm too old for wasting time. I've got a limited amount of time here. In fact, I am fortunate that I am still alive today. I have a blood disorder that was found out about 5 years ago, and if it wasn't for my doctor finding out about this blood disorder, I'd be dead right now. So I view every year that I have since basically 2016, every year I am blessed with. So I kind of look at what I want to do with my spare time, how I want to enjoy my spare time, because I am working every day, pretty much every day. I have a salary job, and I'm in basically retail management. And there's times where I have to be there. If there's a situation where somebody doesn't show up, I got to be there. I got to be there to open the store. I got to be there to close the store. I'm not the highest person in the management in the store. I'm the second highest person in the store. But my role is super important. So, and I enjoy my job. I enjoy doing it. I'm looking forwards to retiring soon. Um, and and having more time to enjoy my hobbies in my retirement. But right now, I'm learning more, and I'm trying to advance myself further in the psychology of role play and getting my brain wrapped around that. and I am willing to learn these things. Nothing here that this guy has done is anything different than what I've used to do. So, and if you call that elite, um, so be it. But I don't view it at all as elite. I view this as a thing which I have come to terms with as an issue with control. So, and the thing is, you have to let go of certain aspects of the game. You have to let go of control over it. You have to be certain with your players that your players aren't going to be a bunch of murder hobos. Okay, so you do have to kind of, you know, focus on certain kinds of players or develop those players into being better players, helping them along so that they're not just being, like I say, a bunch of murder hobos. But some players out there are just natural born murder hobos, and that's all they're going to do. They're just going to go willy nilly and run around and do crazy things because they think it's cool and all that stuff. And it's, you know, I mean, it's what it is. There are certainly been sessions where I've had murder hobos, and you know, it's something that, you know, I'd rather not have in my games. I'd rather have players that want to enjoy being adventurers, enjoy wanting to do the heroic things, and but I don't want to be a controller of what my players do. I want them to be free to do the heroic things. So when I make my games, I don't do this scene by scene BS here, because to me, part of my fun is the unexpected. Okay, so when I do my prep, I prepare for the things that are most important in the game. And that is going to be the NPCs. Okay, so you're developing all the bad guys. You have to have motives and their plans for how they're doing things. You have to line those up. Every bad guy, every monster, um, every NPC, the guy who's selling the players stuff, the person that is um, getting the players to do the thing for him, being the patron. You know, they want them to do a job for them. And every NPC, and that means monsters, that means every kings, queens, person, the lowly peasant, the the space emperor, the whatever, um, the robot, the android, they all have their goals. And that is the best way for you to have your piece of control in the game, because those are the only things as a game master or a role master that you should be controlling. And it doesn't have any aspect towards what the player characters are doing in character. If the player characters in character are thwarting these plans of the NPCs, there will be, you know, the NPCs will want repercussions. There'll be conflict. There'll be interesting things happening between the NPCs and the players. And that's what makes things cool. You also, as the game master, have control over the environment. So you have control over, you know, the weather, the the aspects of the area that they're in to a certain extent. And I'm even willing to be free enough to let some of the tactical things go, as you know, if players imagine things in the area that they can use tactically, fine, that works. I may not have thought as the role master or game master that the trees are going to be used as cover. It's perfectly fine for the players to think, I'm going to use these trees for cover, or the bushes for cover, or whatever they're imagining in the area that you've kind of quasi explained to them in each situation. And that's freeing. It's freeing to me to not have to worry about those kinds of aspects. Now I know a lot of players will play with with the maps, the tokens, all that stuff. That's fine. They want to play that way. To me, that's a board game. And I don't mind playing board games. Board games are fun. And this is where I have, kind of like, disagreements with other game masters or people out there. That D&D and Pathfinder are basically board games to me. People argue that they aren't. But in the end, what difference is, 5e or Pathfinder 2 to Gloomhaven? You can play Gloomhaven, which is an actual board game. Instead of dice, it's got cards. So, and each individual in Gloomhaven is its own kind of class and thing. And they pick and choose, their abilities and all that stuff. And you can role play each one of those characters in Gloomhaven just the same as you would in Dungeons and Dragons, like everybody else does on the internet here. It's the same as this guy here does. So to me, there is no difference. D&D is a board game. It's sold to you with maps. You can pick up all the maps. All your books have maps. All your books have pre-descriptive stuff in it, just like Gloomhaven does as well. And same with Gloomhaven, you can have a variable in where that place is on the map. But as soon as you stick it on the map, boom, away it goes. It's there. Just like Dungeons and Dragons. There is no difference except for the mechanics of Gloomhaven, which is using cards instead of dice. There's no difference between the two of them. You can argue with me till you're blue in the face, but to me, there is no difference. Now, you can take a lot of stuff out of 5e, which means you would be basically, stripping it back down to maybe 2nd edition or something like that, and play it like that. And then you can role play because you are able to do the theater of the mind. And when I say role play, theater of the mind, you're able to kick back all those mechanics into the background and only use them when you need to make those important decisions. The combat, or, how they're going to climb. You use certain aspects of the character in order to deduce how much of a success that character is going to have in, say, climbing or opening that chest, which is locked and has traps. So to me, it's important to put those aspects in the background so that you can have that enriching experience of role playing with each other as players, and as the game master interacting with the role players as the environment and as the situation unfolds. Now, most of the time, I don't know what's going to happen in all these situations. Like I'll have an idea if it's a setup dungeon and I have like 5 rooms in there and there's certain things in each one of those rooms. Of course, it's going to be, I'll be able to have somewhat of a control because of the environment of where they're going and how they're proceeding through the hallways and stuff like that. That's obvious. But this idea of setting up scenes, just it doesn't work with me anymore. It's just way too confining, and this is a reason why there's this thing where he talks about derailment. And that's the thing. If you got nothing for them to derail, then you shouldn't have any issues with derailment. And I'm not worried about derailment because I don't have anything that is going to, have them derail. Let's go to back to my one of the first featured streams where I was using the virtual tabletop with Traveler game, and we were doing that, moving the tokens through the hallways and stuff like that. The problem with that is because the situation was originally with that group was they were going to go ahead and do a rescue mission. However, that got entirely derailed. And the reason why it got derailed was because I was expecting them to go to rescue this gal from a prison. And I had everything set up for that. I had all the miniatures set up, just like, this virtual tabletop here. And all the tokens set up. I had all the, the areas set up. And everything, the cameras, all that stuff where, because the prison has cameras and all that thing. But it got derailed because something happened where they had a situation with the security. A starship intercepted them, and they were supposed to kind of, get past this security fairly easily, except they said some wrong things, which kind of ticked off the security patrol and caused an investigation. And the investigation escalated into something even more, to the point where, okay, there was a situation on the ship. They were fighting each other. There was people potentially going to be getting killed here. They gave up. The players gave up their weapons and everything, and decided, hey, this isn't worth dying for. And they ended up getting captured. And then there was a thing where they went from there to getting transferred over to a bounty hunter who was taking them off to because one of the players was actually a wanted person in a certain area in the in another star system. So that was the problem, was the derailment. Now, since I've changed over to purely role playing and using theater of the mind, I've been able to not worry about that, because when I make my plans, and like I say, my focus now is totally on NPCs. And that way you know how things are going to roll with these non-player characters or monsters or entities or whatever they are. And you know how their plans are going to unfold. You don't know how the players are going to interfere with them, but you do know that there is a potential that they can readjust. These NPCs can readjust their plans, make modifications for them. and try to circumvent any further problems that they would have with the NPCs, or with the player characters, I should say. And that's part of the fun of being the game master or the role master, and the players doing what they want to do. And since there's no lineup of scenes and there's no tons of prep that you got to do in order to make all these maps and make all these pictures, there's no chance of a derailment. So that's the way I see it. I mean, it's cool that, he's doing the pictures, he's doing the sound effects, but in this entire session, they encounter the dead coyotes. They discover eventually through barging of the game master, finding out about the tattoos and stuff like that. And then they continue on. They have an overnight rest. And in the morning, they encounter a storm as they're approaching this town, which is their next encounter. And that was the entire session. Now, it's an hour, and I know he's cut out a lot. So I suspect it was possibly an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours. And to me, is that worth 2 hours of my time as a player to go through that? Now let's go into what I would change in his predicament here. First off, I would cut back on the intelligent rolls. If, like I say, if you want clues to be found, let them find the clues. Don't do this pussyfooting around with rolls and the potential of failure. Because if they fail on seeing any of the stuff, if all of them had failed their rolls, they wouldn't have any clues, even though there's a tattoo on these animals. It just confounds, like it just stuns me why you wouldn't just say, oh, well, you're checking out the creature and there's these things have tattoos on them, or some sort of organization that you know as the Supremacists. I mean, I wouldn't. I would put a little bit more excitement in that first encounter. I would possibly have maybe these creatures still alive and pursuing somebody. Maybe it's a former, because he talked about other people going out and doing searches, like other search parties and stuff like that. Not sure if he's pertaining to this situation or other things that had occurred in the way past of this of his exposition in the beginning. But possibly, maybe it's somebody from that caravan that they're looking for. I would put that in. I would have some sort of a struggle going on that the players could do something that felt heroic. Maybe they could rescue this person, and this person could lead on some clues on, yeah, they got captured by this and that, like these nasty, supremacists, these animal critters that want to get rid of pure strain humans. It needs more action. It needs more, they need to be able to uncover the mysteries without doing this rolling convention. Because it's just damn stupid. That's my opinion. It's just, I wouldn't do that. I would, If somebody has abilities, I wouldn't be making them roll every 5 minutes. Intelligence check, intelligence check, intelligence. They're eventually going to fail. So why even do that? If they are skilled at a certain thing and they aren't pressed and they're not, if it's something that they can take their time and look over something, they should uncover all the clues. That should be their reward for being, persistent in what they're trying to do. He may not think it's a mistake. That's his opinion. But I find it quite redundant. And yeah, I'm gonna probably piss off a few people out there with my opinions on it. But I know that there's certainly way more things he could have done in this whole situation that would have made it much more exciting and much more worthwhile of our time watching this hour pass by. And I don't think I could say anything more than that. Would I be watching any more of this? No, because it's just not worth my time. It is probably going to be just as boring, or just as aggravating watching because he's making his players re-roll and re-roll things. Because this I just don't understand. Because first off, and this is the situation. He has the one player that's doing the searching thing, making the roll, and he fails. Then, as a game master, he says, "Are any of the rest of you guys going to do this?" That's dumb as shit, man. It's dumb. So you're prompting your players until there is finally a success. Just do the success. Just make them find the thing. They said that they are searching the bodies. Just let them find what it is that you need to provide as a clue for your players. It's just redundant to not do so. I mean, they're not being pressed. Like there's nobody. There's no impending doom as they are. They're trying to search. I could understand if they're okay. We need to do this quick search before we see these approaching bad guys. Let's do it. Let's do it now. Let's look over. Maybe do something like that. Sure. But then you're also risking that they aren't going to find these clues as well. So I would just let them find the clues. They've gone through the initiative of wanting to find these clues, search these bodies. Let them find the clues. It's fine. And the menial tasks around when they were deciding to bed down, go to sleep, find shelter during the storm. It's just that did not excite me at all. Once again, more redundant roles. If it doesn't make any sense to me at all. Why? But of course, that is just my opinion on what this was. What I expect in the future, he's probably going to have a lot more die rolling conventions going on. A lot more of him prompting when there are failures in order to get those successes to happen so that his story can continue. And it's going to be a long, slog, tedious combat engagement when there is combat, which will go on forever because that's the way these go. Because there's too much reliance on tactics, on on the maps. Um, but I haven't seen the combat yet. But that's what I'm predicting here. And he's probably going to cut out most of it anyways. You watch my stuff; it's all live, so you see everything in all its warts and glory, and you can go from there. But I say this does not excite me. This does not impress me. Um, he's gone as far as calling me lazy. Just because I don't prep like he does. I just call it being more efficient. I prep for what's important, not what could be missed, redundant. And I think this is just a poor example of any kind of story creating. He who wants to be a writer, he's writing his little book here, and the players are just these figures in his story. And his story is going to go on as it goes, scene by scene after scene. And as players are going along with this Disney ride, being the die rollers. So you may as well have monkeys rolling the dice because it doesn't matter how they role play out certain things. He's going to force it until somebody makes a success anyways, as we see with this example here. And so there's no point. Why is this even going on? Um, he has no intention on learning from what I've learned. That's okay, you know. And but I'm not going back to what this is because, like I say, it's just taking up too much time, and like I say, it's redundant, and the players aren't nothing here heroic. Nothing here screams out, "Oh, we accomplished something," or "Man, that was a cool thing we just did." Because there wasn't anything cool that they did in this whole thing. They should have at least done at least 2 or 3 cool things within this hour. So, yeah, I'm kind of disappointed, but it is what it is. It's not my thing. It's a thing that I've done in the past, but once again, it's not my thing anymore. I want to have, you know, cool, fast, fun mechanics in the background, only used when we really need them. I want what the players do in role play and their decisions to count without having to rely on the dice dictating whether or not it was a success or not. I want to reward them for the ideas that they come up with. I don't want the dice to infringe on cool ideas. That's all I have to say. So, I mean, you can talk smack about me or whatever, and I'm not the best game master out there. I'll never claim to be. My players, they are what they are, but they're learning, and that's the whole thing. We all have the want to learn and further ourselves in what we do. And this guy, he doesn't. he's set in his ways, and that's the way it's going to be. It won't be until he gets much older, like me, that he'll realize, hey, wait a second. What am I doing here? Why am I frustrating myself with this? Why am I always worried about derailment? I don't worry about that. So I'm cool. I've changed my ways, and I don't worry about that stuff. So, and he can go on and play the way he does. But I just had to say, I was kind of disappointed that it turned out as this, because this is what everybody else does. This isn't anything different than what anybody else does. So I don't see what is elite about it. It's the same old, same old. I mean, sure, he puts in some sound effects, and but when it comes down to all the little special effects and everything, those are all added after. And it's not an actual live play, so we're missing out on all the really mundane things, and like even more mundane things that he's already cut out. So it would have been an even worse example of a game session, because it would have been a longer, more boring session talking about mechanics and stuff, because I have no doubt in my mind he's cut out a lot of that. And he's already indicated in this video that that's what he's done. He's kind of fast forwarded a few things in order to get that out of the way, so we didn't have to listen to it. So I don't know. You guys take it for what it is. If you guys want to learn more and learn with me, feel free to subscribe. I mean, check this guy's stuff out. He's got some cool videos on different game systems and stuff like that. We both share a like for Cypher system as well. But we're very different, me and him. So it's what it is. He can go on doing what he does, but I don't call it elite. I was it's kind of funny, because he says this is elite, then I must be beyond elite if that's the case. But I don't. I'm not beyond elite, and I'm just a guy learning to stay focused on theater of the mind, fast pace, play it, have cool stuff happen, do the things that you want to do as players. I allow you to do the things that you want to do as players, even in the fails. You can do something cool, but have it actually backfire as well too. But at least you got to do something interesting. I try to make stuff interesting, and I try to make the mysteries happen and have the players uncover the mysteries. And engagement is there in my group. So I'll just keep on doing what I'm doing. And if you guys want to follow along with this thing and see if it pans out exactly how I say, well, go for it. And he's got enough followers and stuff. So we'll see what happens. But as far as I'm concerned, no, I'm not watching this stuff anymore. And I'll watch his videos on maybe some game systems and stuff like that. I'm still subbed to him. I'm not so proud or whatever that I would not want to watch any more of his stuff. I mean, you can learn different things from everybody, but if he's not willing to learn off of other people, then and possibly correct some of the mistakes that he has here, he may not even view these things as mistakes. He may think he's doing an awesome job. But seriously, this is no different than any other boring session I've seen before. So that's it. That's all I have to say. Rick out. But just to let you know, if you feel like it, subscribe.